Okay, so these are the 10 things that you can't miss when you're reading Dan Martell's book, Buyback Your Time. Look, most entrepreneurs think that the only way to build a successful business is to just grind harder. You need to work longer. You need to sacrifice everything else. Does that sound familiar? But what if that approach is the very thing that is holding you back? What if you could really scale your business, work less, and actually enjoy your life? In Buyback Your Time, Dan Martell shares a framework that has helped me escape the grind and gain control of my time. In Dan's book, he teaches us that time is our most valuable resource, not something to spend, but actually something to invest. And if you don't learn to buy back your time, you'll end up hating the very business that you've worked so hard to build. This book is packed with strategies to help you identify what Dan calls time assassins, how to delegate effectively using the replacement ladder, and actually his buyback principle, a formula I would argue every single entrepreneur needs to know. These ideas aren't just about working smarter, they're about living better. If you've ever found yourself stuck doing tasks that really drain your energy, or maybe even that the business owns you instead of the other way around, this video is for you. I'm going to share the 10 things that you can't miss from Dan's book so you can start buying back your time and build a life you love. Number 1, make sure that you understand the pain line. As entrepreneurs, we often believe that success comes from working harder and taking on every responsibility ourselves. But that mindset really leads to what Dan Martell calls hitting the pain line. The pain line is the moment where growth becomes too painful to handle. It is where the constant demands of your business actually drain your energy and your passion, and even affects your relationships. Many entrepreneurs face this point and unintentionally stop their progress. Dan explains that when you hit the pain line, you face 3 common outcomes. He calls these the 3 S's: sell, sabotage, or stall. The first S is sell. For those of you that know me well, know that this is part of my story. When the pressure of running your business feels unbearable, selling might seem like the only way to find relief. Maybe you've actually lost your excitement for the business or your health is suffering. Selling out of frustration can feel like the solution. Dan encourages you to pause and ask yourself if you are selling because you want to move forward or just because you want to escape. The second S is sabotage. This happens without realizing it and is a daily event for some of us. Have you ever made a decision like launching a new product without a plan, overhauling a website, or even firing an important team member over something tiny? These actions are not driven by strategy, but by emotion, and it actually is driven to reduce the pain of growth. Instead of actually fixing the problem, these decisions often keep you stuck in a loop of frustration and lost progress. Now, the third S is stall. This is when you choose to stop growing just altogether. You tell yourself, hey, staying small is better than dealing with the stress of growth. But here's the truth. Choosing not to grow is choosing to slowly let your business fade away. The market evolves quickly, competitors move in, and even your best employees will leave you if they do not see the opportunity to advance with your organization. Stalling might feel like relief, but it eventually leads to decline. So, how do you push past the pain line? Dan offers a solution. Shift your thinking from growth equals pain to growth equals freedom. By applying the buyback principle, you can let go of low-value tasks and focus on what matters most, and rediscover the passion that actually got you started in the first place. The pain line does not have to define your journey. It is your choice to change the way you approach your business. This is about creating a life where your business supports you instead of controlling you. If you feel stuck, it is time to buy back your time and build the life you deserve. Do not let the 3 S's hold you back from your true potential. Second, make sure you utilize the buyback loop. Dan says in his book that you can't personally outwork yourself to a better business. The problem is you only have 24 hours in a day. The solution is the buyback loop, a process that allows you to regain your time and energy while you continue to grow. The buyback loop has 3 main steps: audit, transfer, and fill. The first step is audit. This is where you identify the tasks that really drain your energy. You need to ask yourself, what tasks do I dislike doing that are easy to hand off to someone else? These are often those repetitive tasks like managing emails, handling scheduling, or updating those spreadsheets that we all love. The second step is transfer. Once you have your list, the next question is who can take these on? It could be someone on your team, a part-time assistant, or even a contractor. Transferring is not just about delegating. It is about giving these tasks to someone who actually enjoy them and can handle them as well. This allows you to focus really on those higher value activities. The final step is fill. After freeing up your time, ask yourself, what should I actually be spending my time on? And what brings me the most value to both myself and my business? This might be connecting with customers, developing strategies, or maybe even working on projects that you love. The key is to fill your time with activities that make an impact and inspire you. The buyback loop is not something you do just once. It is a continuous process that helps you level up again and again and again. Each time you go through these steps, you reclaim more time to focus on the work that drives your business forward. In Dan's book, he reminds us the buyback loop creates an infinite cycle so you can continually upgrade your time throughout your entrepreneurship journey. If you feel like you're stuck in a cycle of never-ending tasks, start with these 3 steps. Audit what drains you, transfer what does not need to be yours, and fill your time with what truly matters. That brings us to number 3. Get crystal clear on how you can leverage the drip matrix. The drip matrix is a simple way to evaluate how you're spending your time and focus on what really matters. Dan explains, if you are spending all your time on the wrong quadrant, you are stuck in tasks that drain your energy and keep you from growing. The drip matrix has 4 simple quadrants: delegate, replace, invest, and produce. Each quadrant represents a different way that you spend your time. Let's break it down together. First, grab a pen and paper. Draw a large square and divide it up into 4 smaller boxes. Label the top left replacement, the top right production, the bottom left delegation, and the bottom right investment. Along the left side, write what makes you money, and along the bottom right, what lights you up, with an arrow on the left going up and an arrow on the bottom going to the right. Now let's fill this out. Start with the delegation quadrant in the bottom left. These are the tasks that neither light you up nor make you money. These could be admin tasks, billing tasks, or just routine emails. Write down those tasks that you dislike doing and that bring very little value to your business. These are the tasks that you need to delegate immediately. Next, let's move to the replacement quadrant in the top left. These are tasks that really make you money, but still drain a lot of your energy. Think about managing sales pipeline, onboarding new hires, or other value tasks that no longer excite you. Write these tasks down. You need to hand these off, but maybe with a little more thought and planning than those that were in the delegation quadrant. Now, on to the investment quadrant in the bottom right. These are tasks that light you up, but do not make you a lot of money, or maybe at least not yet. Write down activities like learning a new skill, networking, or even some of those hobbies that recharge your energy. These are the tasks that fuel your creativity and keep you inspired. Finally, the top right. This is the production quadrant. These are the tasks that both light you up as well as make you money. This is where you need to spend the majority of your time. Write down activities like strategic planning, closing high-value deals, or even leading initiatives that grow your business and energize you. Take a look at your list. The goal is to move tasks out of your delegation and replacement quadrants as quickly as possible and focus more on the production quadrant, with some intentional time put into that investment quadrant. Now, this exercise is not just about thinking, but it's about acting. Review your list and choose one task from the delegation quadrant to delegate this week. Then look at the replacement quadrant and decide on a plan to transition those tasks. Start small, but start today. Dan reminds us the more time you spend in the production quadrant, the more freedom you create for yourself and your business. Take control of your time, use the drip matrix, and make sure that you're focusing on what truly matters. Fourth, do the math on your buyback rate. Look, everyone can afford something. The key is really understanding your buyback rate and what you should afford. Dan explains, your time is worth how much your business pays you divided by 2,000 hours. Why 2,000 hours? That is roughly the number of hours in a full-time work year. To calculate your buyback rate, start with your annual income and then divide it by 2,000. That is effectively your hourly rate. Now divide that number by 4. This new number that you have is your buyback rate. Let's work through an example. If your business pays you $200,000 a year, your hourly rate is $100. Divide that by 4, and your buyback rate is $25. Now this means that any task that you can outsource for less than $25 an hour is a task that you should not be doing yourself. Here's why that matters. Every time you spend an hour doing a low-value task, like answering a routine email or maybe even organizing files, you are taking time away from activities that could grow your business. Dan puts it simply, no one, not a founder, not a CEO, should be doing tasks that they can delegate for a quarter of their hourly rate. Next, think about the tasks that you do daily. Which of these tasks could be delegated for less than your buyback rate? Let's list those out. Maybe it's bookkeeping, maybe it's social media management, or maybe it's scheduling. These are the tasks that you need to start delegating immediately. Dan reminds us that delegating is not a cost, it's actually an investment. It frees up your time to focus on tasks that are more in the production quadrant. And here's the real magic. As your business continues to grow, so does your buyback rate, allowing you to delegate even more and focus entirely on your highest value activities in the future. So this brings us to number 5, complete a time and energy audit. Have you ever closed out your day wondering where all that time went? That's where the time and energy audit comes in. I love this process so much. I'm actually currently working through it with a few members on my team right now. Dan Martell says, your calendar doesn't lie. The time and energy audit actually helps you figure out exactly where your time is going. And more importantly, how those tasks really make you feel. Are they lighting you up and giving you energy? Or are they actually draining the life out of you? Knowing this is the first step to taking control of your day as well as your business. Here's how to do it. First, track your time for 2 weeks. Document every activity that you do during your workday. Break it down into 15-minute increments. This includes everything. So it could be emails, meetings, calls, even those coffee breaks. Be honest and thorough. The goal is to get clear on a picture of where your time is actually going. Next, analyze your tasks. Once you've tracked your time, assign a dollar value to the specific task. There might be $1 signs and there might be $4 signs. $1 sign will represent the tasks that are very little per hour, while the $4 signs will represent high value activities. For example, organizing files might be a $1 sign, while negotiating a major deal, that might actually be a $4 sign. Third, let's go through and rate the energy of each of those tasks. So what you will do is you will take that table of tasks, grab 2 highlighters. One will be green and one will be red. Use green to mark tasks that energize you and red for tasks that drain you. It's time to be brutally honest. If something makes you procrastinate or makes you exhausted, it's a red. Now, if you enjoy doing it and it brings you energy, that's a green. Finally, number 4, create your action plan. Look at the tasks marked with low dollar signs and red highlights. These are your priorities to delegate or eliminate. Use your buyback rate as a guide. If you can outsource a task for less than your rate, it's time for you to hand it off. If you can't delegate right away, well, let's start creating a system or a process so that's easier to delegate in the future. When you free up your time from low value, energy draining tasks, you can create and spend it on what truly matters. Dan reminds us the secret of getting started is breaking our overwhelming tasks into small, manageable steps, and then actually starting on the first one. This process isn't just about getting things done. It's about building momentum, gaining clarity, and reclaiming your energy. So ask yourself, what tasks are you doing right now that someone else could actually take off your plate? Moving on to number 6, ensure that you are clear on the replacement ladder. From day one, I have leveraged this concept at W Media, and I am sure that you will appreciate the impacts of it if you are doing it at your business as well. Now, Dan Martell says it best. If your business depends on you, you don't own a business, you have a job. And it's the worst job in the world because you're working for a lunatic. That's where the replacement ladder really comes in. The replacement ladder is a step-by-step process to replace yourself in your business. By following this process, you can free yourself from the bottlenecks and build a business that thrives without you. Here's really how it works. The ladder has 5 rungs: administrative, delivery, marketing, sales, and leadership. Each rung represents a set of tasks and responsibilities that you need to transfer to others. The goal is to focus your time on what truly matters while empowering others to handle the rest. So let's break that down. Rung 1 is administrative. This is the first step. You're spending too much time on low-value tasks like managing your inbox, scheduling meetings, and responding to those emails. Your key hire here is an administrative assistant. Once you offload these tasks, you'll move from feeling stuck to having momentum again. Suddenly, you have time to think bigger and bigger. Now let's move up to that second rung. This is delivery. Delivery is how your product or service gets to your customers. Maybe you're onboarding every client yourself or handling customer issues personally today. That stops here. Your key hire is someone who can take over these processes, freeing you up to focus on growth. Now, rung 3 is marketing, and this is where entrepreneurs often hit friction. Maybe you're creating campaigns, managing ads, or writing content yourself, but great marketing is a process that can be handed off. Once you have systems in place, you can hire someone to take that over. The result? You free up your time and avoid that burnout. Rung 4. This is sales. Sales is often the hardest for founders to let go of. Dan says few salespeople will be as good as you, but that's okay. Don't shoot for perfection. The goal isn't to find someone who is a clone of you. It's to find someone who can take on the bulk of the sales and follow-ups. By this stage, you've already built a predictable system that's generating leads and closing deals. Now it's time for you to hand that system off. Rung 5 is leadership. This is the ultimate goal at this stage. At this stage, you're no longer involved in the day-to-day. Your focus is actually on strategy, vision, and outcomes. Dan calls this flow. You've built a team that runs the business so you can focus entirely on the highest impact areas. Climbing the replacement ladder isn't about abandoning your business. It's about empowering your team and creating a system that allows your business to grow without burning you out. Dan says replacing yourself isn't complicated. You just need a path to getting there. This is that path. Start at the bottom with the admin task and work your way up the replacement ladder. With each rung, you're freeing yourself from tasks that don't require your unique skills. You're building a business that works for you, not the other way around. Okay, so now the 7th thing that you can't miss from Dan's book, Buyback Your Time. This is how to clone yourself. But before I get into that, if you're finding that this information is helpful to you, please like this video and hit that subscribe button. This will really help me hit my target and validate if I should keep making these videos. So imagine that you had an office in Times Square. You had the door open to the world. Anyone and everyone could come through that front door and hand you a sticky note that demanded your immediate attention. Sounds chaotic, right? How would you get anything done? Yet for many entrepreneurs, this is exactly how they treat their email inbox. Their inbox becomes actually their to-do list, a public space where anyone can make their demands. This isn't freedom. This is actually being trapped. Dan Martell says, your inbox isn't your boss. Think about that for a second. If your inbox or calendar actually runs your day, then who actually is in control? The hard truth is that entrepreneurs often mistake busyness for productivity. The constant flow of emails and approvals and scheduling and the admin tasks actually rob you of your energy and focus. That's exactly where the administrative assistant comes in. This is not a luxury, but it's a necessity. Some call them assistants, personal managers, or even chiefs of staff, but it truly just represents your freedom. Their role isn't just about doing tasks. It's about protecting your time and making sure that you operate in your zone of genius. So here's the truth. Every entrepreneur already has an assistant. It's actually themselves. If you're responding to emails, updating reports, or scheduling meetings, you're acting as your own assistant, and the cost is huge. Dan suggests asking yourself, what from this list could I give to someone else? That should be your starting point. When you bring on an assistant, they aren't just doing tasks, they're taking on the mental and emotional baggage of execution. They don't hesitate to send that polite, no thank you, when you're tempted to say, yeah, I guess. They don't make exceptions that will drain your focus. They don't drop the ball. With the right systems, they manage your calendar and inbox in ways that not only streamline your workflow, but they actually free up your mind for what matters. Let's take this one step further. Dan emphasizes the free yourself jumpstart. What if your assistant managed every email, every calendar invite, so that you only saw what truly mattered? No quick responses, no distractions, just clarity. That's the vision. Complete control by just letting go. All right, so let's move on to number 8. Learn how to create a good playbook. A playbook is a detailed step-by-step guide for how to complete a task or a process in your business. Think about it as a manual so clear and precise that anyone on your team can pick it up and execute without constant supervision. In the book, Dan says, unlimited predictability is more valuable than intermittent quality. And that's exactly what a playbook gives you: consistency, predictability, and freedom to focus on growth. The easiest way to start is using the camcorder method. No need to write out complex guides. Just record yourself doing the task. Grab your phone, your laptop, or whatever you got, and just hit record. Narrate everything as you're doing it. Do it as if you're teaching someone else. Aim to record the process, let's say 3 times. Each time, you'll catch nuances and details that you might have missed the first time around. For example, say you're creating a playbook for uploading a blog post. While recording, walk through every step. This is how I log into the platform. This is how I format the context. This is how I upload images. And this is how I schedule the post. Now make sure you're talking through and describing the details and things to watch out for. By the end of your recording, you'll have everything documented, visually as well as verbally. Every playbook needs 4 key components. First, what we just described, the camcorder method. This gives you the foundational training videos. Second, the course. This is the written step-by-step breakdown of the process. And then third is the cadence. You need to let your team know how often the task needs to be done. Is it something that I need to do daily? Is it something I need to do weekly or monthly? And then fourth is the checklist. This is important. It really ensures that nothing gets missed. So let's start small. Choose one task that currently is causing you the most stress or taking up too much of your time. For example, if invoicing is a bottleneck, then create a playbook from that. Once that's in place, move on to the other areas of onboarding new clients, maybe managing customer support or even sales. The beauty of a playbook is that they aren't just about saving time. They're about scaling excellence. When your team knows exactly what to do and how to do it, you reduce errors, train faster, and create space for innovation. Dan says it perfectly. A playbook isn't going to capture everything, but 80% done by someone else is 100% freaking awesome. So number 9, the perfect week. Imagine walking into your week knowing exactly when you'll focus on the most important work, when you're going to connect with your team, and when you're going to recharge your energy. That's the power of creating a perfect week. Dan Martell emphasizes that success doesn't come from cramming tasks into every available moment. Instead, it's about designing your week with intention. He says when you plan your week, you'll know what you're saying no to in order to say yes to something more meaningful. So let's start by recognizing whether you're reactive or proactive. A reactive person lives by the demands of others. They squeeze meetings into random gaps, scrambling to keep up and lose control of their time. A proactive person owns their calendar. They've blocked off time for high-value tasks, leaving space to think and to grow. Here's the secret. The perfect week eliminates lead time and context switching. Imagine scheduling back-to-back calls in one block, then dedicating another block to deep creative work. By batching similar tasks, you're staying in the flow, saving time and mental energy. But it's not just about saving time. Dan also talks about energy optimization, structuring your day around when you're at your best. Are you a morning person? Put your high-focus work early. A night owl? Maybe shift it a little bit later. When you align your work with your energy, you achieve more without burning out. And don't forget what Dan calls net, no extra time. Are you commuting? Use that time for audiobooks or podcasts. Are you out walking the dog? Turn it into a brainstorming session. Net transforms downtime into growth. So creating your perfect week doesn't mean perfection overnight. It's a process. Start small. Look at your week and block out time for priorities. Keep tweaking it. As Dan reminds us, a planned week doesn't mean you can't make changes. It means you know what you're sacrificing when you do. And this brings me to number 10, is the one that has made the most impact on me and my business. And that is the concept of transformational leadership versus transactional leadership. Transformational leadership isn't just about delegating tasks. It's really about creating a culture where your team takes ownership, solves problems independently, and really grows into leaders themselves. Dan Martell's concept of transformational leadership fundamentally reshaped how I think about building and scaling a team. It's about moving away from a transactional approach where leaders micromanage every single step to a transformational one where you set the vision, communicate the outcomes, and empower your team to achieve them on their own. Dan says, it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. This struck a chord with me. Transactional leadership, where you tell someone what to do, check that they've got it done, and then tell them the next step, creates a significant bottleneck. It relies entirely on you to keep the system moving. This style of leadership is not scalable, and it keeps everyone, including you, stuck in the weeds of the day-to-day operations. Now, on the other side, transformational leadership flips that dynamic. Instead of micromanaging every detail, you focus on setting outcomes. You make it clear what success looks like, and then you step back and let your team really figure out how they're going to get there. For example, instead of telling your marketing team how to execute every step of a campaign, you might say, we need this campaign to generate $50,000 in revenue by the end of Q2, and that's it. They own the execution, the mental responsibility for every single step of the process, and it shifts from you to the people closest to the work. And here's the kicker. They're often better equipped to solve these problems because they're closer to them. One of the most impactful shifts Dan outlines in the transition from what he calls the check to next cycle to focusing on outcomes, measuring results, and coaching your team to excel. This starts with trusting your team to step up, even if it means they might fail at first. Failure often is one of the best teachers. You're giving them the tools, responsibility, and opportunity to grow. And in turn, you're buying back your time to focus on higher level strategies. Dan highlights 4 key reasons why transformational leadership creates better outcomes. First, your team has more information. They're on the ground, they're in the details, and often have insights that you just don't. When you empower them to make decisions, they can act faster and with greater accuracy. And second, they have more time and energy to solve that specific problem. When you're not micromanaging, they feel free to be creative and proactive, which really leads to better solutions. And then third, shifting responsibility forces growth. When people are given ownership, they rise to the challenge. It's no longer about completing a task, it's about achieving an outcome. Fourth, ownership creates excitement. People are naturally more invested in their own ideas. When they're responsible for a solution, they'll champion it and ensure it's successful. One of the most powerful examples Dan gives is about the decision fatigue. As leaders, we often feel like we need to make every single decision ourselves, but that drains our energy and it limits our capacity, really. By shifting responsibility to our team, you are freeing yourself to focus on the few critical decisions that really truly require your attention. Instead of deciding every marketing detail, you focus on the overarching strategy and let your team decide how to execute. Another cornerstone of transformational leadership is coaching. You're not just handing off tasks, you're guiding your team to think critically, solve problems, and grow into leaders. This requires intentional conversations where you help your team identify those core issues, reflect on their decisions, and take ownership of their growth. Dan calls this the coach framework, COACH, where every conversation revolves around clarity, accountability, and empowerment. Transformational leadership is not easy. It requires a mindset shift and a willingness to trust your team, but the payoffs are enormous. When you lead the way, you're not just building a business, you're building a team of leaders who can scale the business with you. As Dan says, you build the people and they build the business. That's the essence of transformational leadership, empowering others to grow so the organization grows alongside them. This is not about doing more yourself. It's about creating a system that thrives without you even needing to be the center of the decision. Remember that the insights from Buyback Your Time are more than just tips. They're a roadmap to transforming how you approach your business and your life. Dan Martell's principles, from the buyback loop to the replacement ladder and transformational leadership, are tools designed to help you escape the grind, reclaim your time, and reignite your passion for the work that you do. If you've ever felt like your business owns you rather than the other way around, It's really time to take a step back and apply what you've learned today. Audit your tasks, delegate effectively, and focus on what lights you up while driving your business forward. These changes may feel small at first, but their impacts are profound. So what will you start with? Maybe it's creating your first playbook, maybe it's identifying tasks to delegate, or simply tracking your time and energy to find the best path forward. Whatever it is, take that first step today. Remember, success isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter and designing a life you love. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights like these. Let's continue to build a life and business that thrives together. Until next time, take control of your time and don't let the grind define you.